Hello, happy Tuesday. Welcome to another episode of Dear Work Wives. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I lied last week. Today, as we're recording, is actually my son's birthday. I forgot that these episodes air on Tuesdays, but we record on Wednesdays. So today's my son's birthday. We got him a whole bunch of Grinchy decorations because he loves the Grinch. So he's having a Grinch
Cute.
birthday. And we're having chicken wings for dinner because that's his favorite. So I'm really looking forward to it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that his favorite is chicken wings.
Right? Like chicken wings.
Yeah.
Like if you could give this kid meat on a bone or a stick, he's happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it's fun. He discovered that actually in Disney World last year. He tried
Oh, he got
a
like a turkey
lamb.
leg?
No, he got like a lamb chop from, it was like Food and Wine Fest at Epcot. So James and I were getting a lamb chop from the Australia booth and he tried it and he loved it. And so then I think the kid ate like 5 of them.
Oh my gosh.
They were so expensive too.
Yeah.
But I don't like, sure, eat this.
We love
Yeah.
like meat on a bone.
Yep. A bone or a stick.
Does he
he's
love
happy.
meat on a stick? Like
Yes.
corn dog?
Yes.
Okay.
Or like kebabs, skewers. Like, oh my God.
Okay.
Hook him up. Yeah. And that's a little bit about Oakley. Meat on a stick.
A theme, you know?
Yeah. How are you doing?
Well,
Yeah.
You already know. We woke up to a fever and body soreness with my older one, Kit. So I'm hoping it's not the flu, but it kind of sounds like the flu, you know?
Yeah.
She's never had like a sickness that just like really took her out and she like actually laid still. But she's, it's like 10 a.m. right now when we're recording and she hasn't eaten anything and she's just been laying in my bed. So we'll see. I feel bad for her and for myself,
Right. It's always the like, I feel bad for you, but I really feel bad for me because I have to deal with this now. And I'm going to get sick.
To deal with it. And I'm also like, okay, please don't get the other one sick, right? Like, the other one does have her, like she got her flu shot and Kit, I hadn't got it for her yet. So hopefully Coco will not get it.
Yeah.
But she did have a little bit of a runny nose this morning. I don't know if those are related.
Or just
she didn't have it yesterday. So, and I'm also hoping that I don't get it. I'm like,
that's the, honestly.
One of our team members last week or the week before, remember, he had like, I don't know if it was the flu, but he was like, down for the count, like with fevers and body soreness. And I'm like, oh God, I do not want that.
I know.
I know like 'tis the season. Everybody's getting sick.
I'd rather get it now than in a few weeks if I'm going to get it, to be honest. You know what I mean? Because you get it now and then feel better. But like the season has already begun. Like there are already, the calendar is full.
To be had. Yeah.
So
I hope, I would rather it this week than next week because next week is like her little Christmas concert at school and she's been practicing so much and I'm so excited to see it. So I would just really hate it for her if she missed that. But
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see how we progress.
Right. Well, I'm sending you good luck.
Just also trying to juggle now my calls today when all I really want to do is like lay with her.
Mm-hmm.
She wants her mommy. So
well, I appreciate you being here to do this right now.
Yeah. I'm glad to be here.
Okay.
It's a nice little break.
Good.
But I have 2 other calls today that I wish I didn't need to attend.
At least they're relatively close together. So it's not like 1 and then 2 hours later, 1. Like that's the worst,
Yeah.
Go take a nice big break after this. So
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So
let's get to it then.
Well, one thing we haven't officially decided is, are we going to be recording episodes for the holidays or not?
I kind of decided we're not.
Okay.
And I'm going to be straight with you. I don't really have the capacity to process episodes to cover us through the holidays. So
yeah, because it takes
time. If I'm just going to be real about the admin, just like, that's a lot more admin.
Right, because you'd have to do it all before the holidays because we're definitely not working during the holidays. Yeah.
I know. Some people are like, oh my gosh, girl, just do it during the holidays. I'm like, no.
No.
But I'm open to a different answer than that if you feel strongly that we should record during the holidays.
I don't feel strongly one way or the other. So if we need a break, then we need a break. I guess we just need to tell people when we're going to be back, which I don't know the answer to that yet, but we'll look at the calendar and see how many weeks we'll
make some
off.
decisions. Yeah, maybe just one, maybe the week in between, you know?
Okay. So it's not too bad for our listeners.
Yeah. People are busy. They're doing their own thing anyway. You know what I mean? I've been seeing countless TikTok videos about how the corporate girlies have already checked out. Circle back season. Circle back season. We'll circle back to that in the new year.
Circle back in January is what they're saying.
EOD now means end of December. Like we're not accepting new projects. This is like no new projects, no like new initiatives. Like we're just wrapping things up and we're circling back in January. I'm like, I love it.
Like a present. Wrap it up.
And so many videos too that are like, just so we're aware, like we do work between Christmas or between Thanksgiving and Christmas season. You know, like we are open for business, so we do need to do things in those like month. I'm like, it would be hard. And like Hanukkah starts soon. Like there's so many holidays right now. There's just so many people out that it's like, how does anything happen in the world in this time of year? Like all the major religions have major holidays during this time of year. Schools are out. Like,
so what you're advocating for is just a total
shutdown. You know how Europe shuts down for the month of August?
Like August, right?
I think that we should all also shut down for the month of December.
Okay.
All of us, like the whole world, if we could all get on board, because there's something for everyone in this time of year.
Basically already do anyways, but
I mean, we say that, but like I have a lot to do over the next few weeks. So
I know, me too, actually.
I'm busy. Like
I am booked and busy, and I mean, I need to get these things done. What would I do if I didn't have these things? Well, my kids aren't out of school yet. I mean, they're sick, so they're out of school. But that's the other things. Like everybody's sick, everybody's home anyways.
Right.
Like, but if my kids were in school, you know, like until they're out of school, I don't mind like doing my work because what else am I going to do during the work day? But it is like a chaotic season of festivities all around.
100%. Yeah, like we're having house guests, so I need to like really clean my house, you know? Like that stuff all takes time, you know? And I have I have a lot of work to do over the next few weeks, and I'm actually being like not very nice to James today, and I already apologized, but I need to apologize again because he took today off because it's Oakley's birthday. And I'm just like so irritated that he just has the day off and I have to work.
I was like, what did he do?
He didn't do anything. He just has the day off
at home.
He just has the day off, and I'm like, I want the day off.
Is Oakley home?
No.
Okay, he's at school.
But because of his work schedule, he did it so that he would be home in the morning and home when Oakley gets home from school. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like in reality, the kids are he is so good. I'm like, this is so kind, but like I hate that you have the day off when I don't.
Mrs. Grinch over there.
I know. I'm the worst. Honestly, I'm the worst. It's like I'm aware that it's not based in logic. Now he's stomping around the house. He said sorry.
Sorry for walking.
Sorry for existing in the house, Emily. So,
oh my God. Sorry for trying to get from one room to the other. How dare I?
He's actually going to switch the laundry. That's the best part. He's going to do chores.
Gosh.
Listen, don't you ever have those days where you're just like not nice for no reason? Yeah. And I know that I'm like, this is not, I am being the worst right now. And I'm very good at saying like, listen, I am in a mood. Like, please leave me alone because I am going to be mean and I don't want to be. And it's a me issue. Usually we can do that, but.
I have had those days, and I usually, by the end of the day, look at you, like being so self-aware so early in the day. Usually by the end of the day, I'm like,
Oh,
Okay, sorry I was like giving you the stank eye all day. Like it was just because I was in a mood and like you existing
you
was
exist. Yeah, it's
really
too much for
frustrating
me.
me. Yeah. And then Tyler's like, I know I could tell. And I'm like, yeah, so stop, you know?
Don't stop existing, but just
Don't stop existing, but stop
stop.
frustrating me by existing. Stop. I don't know.
Yeah. So
It's so frustrating because like I still want it to be his fault when I'm in that mood, but it's
it's not. It's
clearly not.
100% not. It's my fault,
Yeah.
And this happens
Yeah.
at work too. Like there are definitely, I'm like, no one is doing anything wrong. And I am not
Here for it.
here for it. Like
Yeah.
mental health day. Like,
I know.
and that's just the reality of being a human being.
Yeah. I wanted to play a fun game before we started some stories.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, since it is the holiday season, we're going to play a little game of like best excuses to not attend your holiday Christmas or like holiday work party.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have any that you would use before I give you some other like examples?
No, I'm really bad at this
said?
because I don't I have no ability to be honest with people and just say I don't want to do that. Like that's not in my vocabulary. But
Like you can't say I don't want to do that.
And I never want to make up little white lies about something like someone being sick or hurt, or because then it will come true. So
It's karma.
then I just go to the thing because I can't ever think of any valid reason to not go to something that isn't going to yield some karma for me. So you tell me, what are some good ones?
So
I can use them in the
future.
future.
You don't like that kind of food? That's an interesting one.
Oh. I could see if it's like at a restaurant.
Yeah, like, I don't like that kind of food.
I don't like, so Indian food. I'm not going. That would never fly for me because I eat everything. But it's a good one.
You already have other Christmas festivities planned. I think that's a good one. Like
is a good one.
Actually good one. Like, I already have plans,
Yeah,
for my family.
I have plans to be horizontal in my bed at 7:00.
But leave that part out.
Right.
If ever you're like trying to make up a white lie about like, I already have other plans, do you ever get nervous that they're going to find out, or like that you need to like post something to prove that you have plans?
I can't lie and say I have other plans. I am actually worse for double booking myself. I have learned, but like I went through a phase of being such a yes person that I would double book myself. And that caused problems. I was like, sorry, I know we have plans to go do this thing, but like I already have other plans. I'm like, it was terrible. I would just like I'm honestly the worst because I hate when people like get mad at me. So I just say yes to everything.
But then don't you know they're going to get
But then they get mad at me anyway. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I know, I'm aware. It was a flawed plan and I stopped doing it.
How would you usually make the decision between those two plans at that point? Like
whichever one I agree to first.
Oh, first.
Yeah. I know. I don't do it anymore. I learned.
That's not even a white lie. That's a truth. You just tell them I already have plans at that time.
I know, but sometimes I would try to like make it work, like I'll like when things like backed up against each other, or like, we can do this and we'll just leave a little bit early and then we'll get this thing a little bit late,
Yeah.
I learned this holiday season in particular, like, no.
That doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Nothing ever is on time. You could be having too much fun at the first thing. So like, just no. Just no.
Yeah.
Sorry, derailed us again.
It's okay. Here's a good one. I'm getting an operation at that time.
No. How can you lie about this?
Here's the rest. To get my boss's fist out of my butt.
No, that's not something you can lie about. See, this is what I mean, because then you will need an operation. Karma.
Just the like, I'm busy. It's giving lie.
Yeah. It's giving you don't want to go, but you're too afraid to say it. So
yeah, you can't do the like, I'm sick, I have family member sick, because of the karma thing. Obviously, operation, that's really hard to prove. Like, then the next day you're fine and you come back to work, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm not getting paid to be there. That's one of them.
Valid.
It's kind of valid. Like, am I getting paid?
Yeah.
If not, I can't.
One
I can't
excuse
make
that I will jump on when the opportunity provides itself, which at this time of year where I live is often, is the weather. Like, if
Okay.
the weather turns in the slightest way to it being like snowy and a miserable drive or a miserable walk, I will jump on that every chance I get.
That's like a last minute one.
It is.
Do you
So,
find that that's more believable, a last minute excuse versus a immediate, or less believable? Kind of less believable, right?
I think it depends what the excuse is. Like, I think a last minute, my kid is sick, is very believable.
Yeah.
I think a last minute is clearly vomiting snow from the sky. Is like, oh, I'm not comfortable. I'm not gonna go out in this. Like, cool. Or I don't like driving. I think a lot of people around here, like, I don't like driving at night in the snow. It's never a good time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like, when we as a society just stopped like just saying the truth. Like,
Right. Like, why can't you just be like, I don't want to go?
or like, and even like you could even just say like, oh, I'm not available that night, and like you don't need to give any more reason. And the reason you're not available is because like that's not you're not choosing to make yourself available. You
Yeah.
know,
I mean, you could. You could just say that.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
guess
Like,
it's
why can't we
like
just say
frowned
that
upon.
as a people to
Yeah,
be
is
like,
it
I'm just not
frowned upon to just say I'm not available, and or even the truth of like I don't want to go.
I know, I could never say I don't want to go. Actually, that is not true because I have certain people where they invite me to things and I'm like, I'm not into that, but you guys have a great time. But like, and these are things that
Yeah.
historically I would have had a lot of FOMO about, like concerts or friends going to like certain events, and a lot of it lately has been around like I would be interested in that, but I'm not choosing to spend my money to do that activity. Like, it's just times are too tight for me to just willy-nilly to go to whatever,
Right.
random event, So
Yeah, one of my friends invited us all camping. Like they were doing like a family camping,
you're like,
and
no,
that one I can be honest of like
we're not
that's
campers.
I hope you have a great time, but that is like not my idea of fun at this age with these
Yeah.
children.
Yeah.
Like when they're older, maybe we'll take them camping, but right now, like none of that sounds fun to me.
No,
You know, and I was just honest.
we didn't start camping until my youngest was 5 or 6, because he needed to be able to like
Sleep.
sleep, ride a bike, entertain himself.
Here's a good excuse.
Okay.
I'm an alcoholic and these things never end. Great.
I mean, yes, that's
If it's true.
if it's
right?
true. If it's true, that's not something to joke about if it's not true, but if it's true, then just
I can't stand my colleagues, so I won't be able to make it.
It's probably true.
Don't say it.
But don't say
Probably maybe true, but don't say it. Oh, picking someone up from the airport. How do you feel about that white lie?
No. I just don't think that white lies are ever going to serve you. It honestly, like the elaborateness, just say like I can't make it. Something come up, I can't make it. If it's last minute, or just say if it's enough time, like, oh, we're not available that night. Done. No is a complete sentence also.
All right. Well,
I know.
You heard it here, folks.
Yeah, maybe I will listen to this episode and take my own advice to heart as well. Just be like, well, you can just say no.
No.
No. Do you ever find it this time of year, and this is like totally a side tangent, that like there's a lot of obligation-y things that it's like I might not want to do this activity, but I want to show up for my people. And like
yes.
that is like I want to say no. I don't really want to do this, but it's important to you, so I'll be there.
Yes.
I think that's the hard line to toe, and I think sometimes work makes that line, like they lean really heavy on the like the obligation of being there. But it's like, is it really an obligation for work? The
work party?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like that's how they'll like try to like force people to go. It's like, oh, it means a lot, or it's so important to team, blah, blah, blah. But like it really doesn't. And now you're just being roped into spending your free time with people you can't stand.
Yeah. And it's like this holiday season is so busy that you really gotta
Yeah,
pick and choose like what you're gonna make time for. Like you said, like everybody's double booked all over the place,
I know.
So
Totally. We have a friend group and James, like, he can't go to the boys' night out because we already have plans. And my other girlfriend was like, the ladies' night out. She was like, I love you all and I want to see you, but we're doing like the family brunch like 3 days later, and I just don't have time to do all of it. And I was like, thank you.
yeah.
That's so just like
And
honest
when
and
people do
appreciated.
that, it like also empowers you to be like, yeah,
Oh,
what do I
same.
need to say no
Girl,
to?
same. Yeah. And you can
Right?
do
Like,
this at
oh,
work
I
too.
was just going because I felt obligated. But if you don't feel obligated because you're busy, like, then maybe I shouldn't feel obligated because I'm also busy.
Yeah.
Whether it's for this event or something else,
Yeah.
Like, and the other thing is like, I had like people inviting me to things multiple days next week. And I'm like, I can't, like, I just can't be gone from my kids multiple nights during the, not that I
Yeah.
can't, I just don't want to,
Yeah.
like,
It's
I don't want to find childcare coverage, or I don't want Tyler to have to watch them without me multiple days in a row just for
yeah.
events that
Are
I don't
fun.
know, like
These things, they're fun. They're
they're
enjoyable.
fun, but
Yeah.
like it's just too much in one week or in one season.
Totally. I feel you. It's a really
So,
hard season to like find the balance of
yeah. So
creating
permission for
joy.
everyone listening, if you need to say no to something, this is your sign.
Like the work holiday party or picking up that extra shift or covering for so and so's vacation or that project, like if you can say no, just say no.
Do you remember that campaign?
Just say no to drugs.
Yeah, were you a child of the of the just say no
Of
era?
course.
Okay.
They made it seem like people are going to be offering you drugs every second.
I know.
And
Where
you were
are
going to
they?
have to
Where were
like
they?
gird your loins against all these people offering you drugs. It's like, it's
I
literally
was like,
never
I was
once happened in my
waiting.
life. Same with
Like that didn't start
quicksand.
happening. That didn't start happening to me until college. And at that point I was saying yes, That campaign was too far gone.
Too far gone. Yeah. The things that they taught us in the 90s, stop, drop, and roll, because you were going to constantly catch on fire. You were going to fall into quicksand. And this is how you could get out of it.
Yeah.
And that people would be offering you drugs all the time.
And tornado drills. Did you have those? Were you hide under your desk?
We had one a year, I
If
think.
your desk is going to save you.
Right? No, you got to go to the bathroom and belt yourself to the plumbing, as seen in Twister.
Yeah.
Leather belt.
Yeah. Never once did I have to stop, drop, and roll or
Never.
say no to drugs.
Never.
So
I mean, I'm very thankful I've never had to stop, drop, and roll because I've never been in a scary situation. I'm sure I know that there are people who are in those situations, have had to deal with that. I'm not, but I'm just saying the way that they taught it in school, I thought it was going to happen all the time.
Like you're just like spontaneously gonna combust.
Like we would be walking through fire constantly. Because my kids don't. I don't think they know stop, drop, and roll.
I still won't sleep naked because I'm afraid that there might be a fire in the night, and I don't want the firefighters to come, and I don't have any clothes.
It's a very valid reason. It's true. There's many a reason to not do it, but that's one of them. Fire, someone breaking in, your kids needing something. Oh my God, yeah.
Okay, this is like so weird and random, like childhood trauma that I'm just gonna share with you because it obviously came up. But so I had this fear about like sleeping naked, and so, like Tyler would always be like, "Why don't you just sleep naked?" I'm like, "No, like I can't because what if there's a fire?" And he's like, "This is so weird. Like this is such a random thing for you to be afraid of. You've never been in a fire before. Like this is never." It's not like PTSD from like that happening. Like, what is going on? And then when my mom passed away, my biological mom passed away, like we went through, all her stuff. And in there is an article about how there was like the chief of the fire department was a peeping Tom in my house. And he was looking in my window when I was younger. And it was like written up in an article. And isn't that like, okay, that's why I don't sleep naked.
Why.
Is not And because like the association of like there's going to be a fire. It's like, no, it wasn't a fire. It was the chief of the fire department was
Oh my
peeping
gosh.
Tomming me as a child.
That is so much therapy. Wow.
Right.
Yikes.
I know. And then when I read that article, I was like, oh, I do remember that. I remember what house we lived in. Like, I remember that.
Wow.
So it makes sense why I don't want to sleep naked because of the fire. Quote unquote.
Because of the
fire.
Yeah.
The firemen.
Wow.
I want the firemen to see me naked is the whole thing, right?
Right.
Like,
oh,
so crazy.
I just want to squeeze baby Adrian and save her.
I know. Poor thing.
Right?
Should we do some stories?
Yeah, let's go. That's a great segue.
To like the meat of the show, the whole reason we're here.
Yeah.
All right. Is my job as bad as it seems? I work for a company that my boss himself started. He is the only person I work with. He's about 50 years old and I am 19. The pay isn't bad and I get 3-day weekends, which probably is the only reason that I've stayed. There are times where I call off because I can't bring myself to go. It's an office job. I pretty much sit at a computer and do whatever he says to do all day. The only thing I've gained from being here is experience, and I'm a certified something collector, but I can't stand how he treats me and other people. He will belittle me in front of patients without a second thought and never an apology. One tiny mistake and everyone in the office will hear about it. He will call me slow and expect me to be as good at the job as he is. I've worked here for about 10 months versus him being in the business for 20 years. There's only 2 people running the whole place. We're very busy and it's extremely stressful. I've made 2 mistakes that have cost him some money. And both times he has threatened to take the money out of my paycheck. He will tell me to go do something, but then call me away to do something else in the process and then makes remarks about how I didn't finish the other thing fast enough. So he has no respect for me, constantly talks over me. So I don't feel like I'm ever being listened to or understood. It's becoming unbearable. Is this normal work behavior? Is this how I should feel when I'm at work?
No. That's not how you should feel at work. And I understand the lure of the 3-day weekend. Does make it easier to put up with a lot of other things, but that's too much.
Yeah. What are you saying?
Pardon? Oh.
What are you saying?
That's for me to know.
Oh.
No, I mean, like, I know lots of people who have 3-day work weeks who live in my house who aren't me, or 3-day weekends, you know, and it definitely makes some of the pills a little easier to swallow, you know?
Yeah. I know that everything is not always going to be roses and butterflies, even at our company, but yeah, that is a perk, right? So I know that that's why this person said they've stayed so long. But I definitely don't think this is normal. I think this is pretty abusive in terms of his behavior towards you. Since it is also like a small business, it doesn't sound like you're going to get much help from like an HR department or anything. There is no HR department. So this is something that I would probably be looking for something else. I think, if you can bear it for a little longer until you can secure another paycheck, I think that would be good. You said he pays you well. It's a 3-day weekend. It's like, okay, just know that how he's treating you is not, true to who you are and your value in the workplace. I know that can like just beat you down after a while and make you believe that like, oh, am I a terrible person? Yeah. Am I a terrible employee? You can always ask, how can I improve so that I'm not under this constant
scrutiny and like
abuse.
Yeah.
Scrutiny. I don't know the right word. Yeah. You've been there 10 months, so maybe stick it out until you can find another job. But no, not all bosses are like this, but some are. So just knowing that like that's not okay for people to treat you like that, even if you're not, if you're not meeting their expectations, then they should be having a private conversation with you about that, not publicly demeaning you.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot that there's a lot of pros on this list that would honestly outweigh a lot of cons for a lot of people, you know? 3-day week, 3-day weekend and like well paid. Like for a lot of people, that's enough to endure. And I don't even think there's anything wrong with that. Like I'm huge on work to live, you know, like go show up, do your job, as long as it's not like soul crushing, then go enjoy your life outside of work. You know, I get that that doesn't work for everyone, but it does work for some people. That's enough, you know, that's fulfilling enough. But
Yeah,
the
like, can you ignore him?
yeah, like, but the abuse and the threatening to take money out of your paycheck if you make a mistake, like those are just HR violations for one. And that's the kind of stuff that I like couldn't put up with, no matter how cushy the work schedule was, you know, because I just don't want to feel, I don't want to be belittled at work. That's kind of,
Yeah.
that's where I draw the line. So
Oh,
I think it's
high
time to find
standard.
something new, but
Yeah,
I also understand like
it's hard out there.
and also like if that time is really important to you, that work, that split, it is becoming more popular for sure. So just know if that's what you really want to find, it might take time, you know? So what can you do to brighten your life while you continue kind of having to endure this hostile work environment?
Yeah. Okay, next story. Did you ever not feel trusted at work or felt like your assigned work was lower in priority? Were you able to get out of that funk? This is hard for me to really put into words, but I feel as though I'm not part of the bigger picture slash high priority stuff. I do value my job, but I feel disengaged more and more as my peers seem to jump from new feature to new feature while I seem to be stuck on the same type of work and assignments. I struggle with self confidence and feeling that I'm always out of the know. So, wonder if I'm manifesting the issues I feel that I'm having at work. Has anyone ever felt like they weren't trusted, even as you continued to work as an individual contributor who moves things forward? How do you change your perception if it's even possible? Good question.
It's a good question. I think the thing about workplaces is you really have to take those opportunities more so than wait for them to be doled out fairly, because
Mm,
workplaces often are not fair.
yeah.
And unfortunately, like sometimes being loud, being aggressive, hustling really hard is what gets people noticed over even like consistency. Um, I find that like that attack mode, like attacking the job, attacking the opportunities, even if it's more chaotic, is just louder, so people see it and they see those people more than they see kind of the consistent people in the background who just keep plugging away, hitting metrics, hitting targets, but they're not loud about it.
Hmm.
I'm not saying that that's right, but I do see it happening, especially in companies that have, you know, different like roles that are maybe closer to revenue versus ones that aren't. You know, like those ones do tend to get a little bit more celebration. Um, but the business can't function without the other roles. You know, it's just quieter. So you have to kind of be loud about some things sometimes so that you can make yourself known in the workplace. It always
Yeah.
reminds me of um like when I go to concerts or festivals and you're in you're in the GA, like you have to stand firm and like hold your ground, like elbows up. It's the like elbows up so that you can like protect your space and
There's
make
thought.
yourself known, so that you're like, it's very clear, like this is mine. This is my zone and this is what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think back to like my corporate days because was very much like a loud vocal like yes person when it came to like new projects. Like if someone even mentioned something like I'm speaking up saying I want to do that, I want to be involved or I want to lead that project, right? And I think that those people definitely get more opportunities, right? So I would speak up for things that maybe you see and you want. And, sometimes people aren't necessarily like the leadership may not necessarily even be like doling things out, but they're just like, who, they're waiting for someone to just immediately raise their hand, or someone's immediately raising their hand before there's even time for leadership to be like, do you want to do this? Or do you want to do this? Like they're not even having to spend that time in some situations. I think the other thing is proactively communicating in your one-on-ones with your leadership about like, hey, I want more opportunities. How can I progress? How can I, learn this skill set, or this is something I'm interested in. I think the more vocal you can be about that, it doesn't have to be in a loud way if that's not going to be your nature. Like if you're never going to speak up at that all team meeting that like, oh, I want that project. Like, okay, but you need to be proactive in your one-on-one conversations, because sometimes your leadership may not even know that you want more growth. They may think that you're like perfectly content just like doing the stuff, and they don't want to bother you with like more to your plate. They may not know if you have the capacity or if you even are interested. And so I think being really transparent and communicative about that is important for your career path, and maybe even asking questions about like, how does my work contribute to the vision here, right? Like, so that you can better understand the value that you bring, because it sounds like there's a little bit of a disconnect, and that piece of disengagement is the number one reason people disengage, is not because of lack of money, not because of any of those things. It's because they don't feel connected to the bigger vision. And so I think it's important that you do bring that up in conversation with your team leaders and ask those questions so that you can better understand and feel more engaged with the work that your company is doing. But yeah, speak up, whether it's in smaller settings or in those bigger settings. But if you want something, what was the advice we had mentioned last week? Like being you have to be the CEO of your career, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
so you are going to have to be the CEO of your career here and be more communicative with what you actually want, because no one can read your mind,
Yeah. Absolutely. But I know people who feel this way, and you're not alone in feeling like I am gonna get left behind, or especially if these things are really out of your nature. So I do have a lot of empathy for feeling like I'm doing my best and it just doesn't seem to be enough. It is enough.
Yeah.
You're doing a great job,
Yeah.
but sometimes you do have to be a little bit more assertive. And
Like it's enough, but it doesn't sound like it's enough for you. Like it sounds like it's enough for the company.
yeah,
But if you want more, then you have to figure
create
out how
it,
to
grab
get
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, grab it. All right, last story for today. My boss only ever wants to meet between 5 and 8 a.m.
No.
Yikes. He says he's an older guy. He's an older guy, the lead scientist in the lab that I work at, and has a great amount of clout in the field. He only wants to host our mandatory weekly lab meetings at 7 a.m. in person. And despite mostly everyone being too tired to actually contribute to the conversation over the project being worked on or the paper being discussed, the 2 to 3 people who share his sleep schedule are enough to convince him that these early morning mandatory meetings are worthwhile. Initially, the deal was that if we started early, we could leave work early, experiments permitting. But now he's trying to push for the meetings to be considered separate from the workday while still being mandatory. And the same 2 to 3 people are agreeing with him. The rest of the lab has been fighting this suggestion, but now he won't meet with anyone over any issue unless it's between 5 and 8 a.m. And we feel like there's nothing we can do about it.
That is
What?
wild.
Wild that he also wants to like, oh, this is not part of our workday. Your workday starts when?
At 9 or
After?
whatever. Yeah. Like, I am an early riser and physically could not do that because I have children.
Right.
I mean, I guess like that's why people have childcare and stuff like that. But like, I'm like, this is why like people who are like very early risers or very late risers, like again, I really empathize with like your natural flow or your natural productivity hours not being congruent with the 9 to 5 society, because that has to suck, but
Yeah.
the world operates in such a way that
That this isn't a good look, especially if like people aren't even contributing because they're just like so tired. Then what's the point of
Right.
them being there?
What's
You
the
know,
point?
like, do we all need to be here for this? Like,
Yeah.
it sounds like you work at like a lab, so I assume there's some sort of HR. Whether you're hourly or salary, like if you're hourly, this is definitely included, and I would just work your hours and then leave early. You know, like if
Yeah.
there was nothing you could do about moving this meeting and you had
Yeah.
to be there, like no, you don't need to be working more hours just because this dude wants to meet at 6:30 a.m. or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Um, if you're salary, I would do the same thing. Like I would just adjust my own hours accordingly if
Mhm.
I needed to, but I also would communicate. I would go to HR and see if there's, you know, maybe something in the policies already of like working hours and mandatory requirements for meetings outside of business hours, those types of things.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, there are other obligations that people have that would make this unrealistic for people to attend. And just because he doesn't have those obligations doesn't mean other people on the team don't. Um, there might even be something in your contract that you originally signed about like,
Working
you
hours.
know, working hours and what time the office or lab is meant to be open. Yeah, because outside of work hours without compensation is not
A thing.
legal
Yeah.
and feels pretty hostile for him to also be like, nope, not meeting at any time between outside of 5 to 8. So also if this is like your superior and you can't have meetings with him outside of 5 to 8 a.m., like no, that's just that's seems very unrealistic.
Right.
So I would probably check my HR, talk to HR, check my contract, communicate to him that like I won't be able to attend these meetings.
Okay. Yeah.
I won't be
Cool.
able to attend these meetings.
Yeah.
So
And if you need to talk to me about any of my performance or things, then like I'm only
it needs to happen
available
during
from
working hours.
9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So
Yeah.
I guess we'll never meet.
I also understand how that could be really intimidating to do if you were, you know, if he's a very
Senior.
well known like senior lead
Yeah.
scientist and maybe people want to work with this guy, you know, because he's a lead scientist and carries some sort of expertise in either the field or in your space. I can understand it being intimidating. I know like myself when I was in the corporate world, like if one of like my lead team members like C-suite would have asked me to meet weekly at 6 a.m., I would have said yes.
Yeah. At a different season of life.
Yeah, I would have just been like, yes, of course,
Yeah.
whatever you want. So I also understand feeling like you need to
Like you're
conform
trapped.
and like bend to that will if there's something in your, you know, next steps of your career that you maybe need this person for or don't want to piss him off or don't want to lose this job. Like I get it, but I think I would be looking at if this early meeting like bothers you enough, like I would be going and looking at all of my legal support first
Yeah.
before I made any, you know, unnecessary noise with him, because it may be as simple as like HR communicating with him directly, like, hey, we found out that like you're trying to hold meetings at 5 a.m. and that's not gonna fly, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. You can't do mandatory things before 9 a.m. like or whatever the time is, you know?
Yeah.
Because like there's
What if I asked
nothing.
you all to come to like a 6 a.m. meeting?
I would think that you had a body double.
Yeah.
I think that you lost your mind. I mean, like to be like we meet, you know, at 10 a.m. and we have team members on the West Coast at 7 a.m. for them, but like they're not mandatory meetings. Like, don't make it,
Right,
don't
right.
come. You know, if it doesn't work for you, you can watch the recording. You know,
Yeah.
we've even talked on our own team about like, do we want to move our meetings later in the day because everyone
Right.
is better
Well, because we usually like most of us like work better in
in the
terms of like
morning.
our deep work,
Yeah,
like our get it done work, like in the mornings.
yeah,
And then it's easier just to like have calls in the afternoon and talk
yeah.
to people or whatever we need to get done. But I don't know what we ever decided on that. I feel like
Um,
everyone was all over the place.
there was like a few times, but it was like one person it wouldn't work
Like,
for like one person, you know? So it was like, well, maybe if it ain't broke, don't I mean, It's not like we're meeting at 8 or 9, you know? So
right.
Selfishly, I just wanted to meet at 2, but it's fine. I get it.
Well,
yeah, that was another
all
great
the stories
episode.
I had for today.
Crushed it.
Hope everyone has a great week. Please share this episode with someone that you love because they'll be so thankful, you know? Like, what a great holiday gift.
Right.
Wrap
I was
them
thinking
up
of
this
you.
episode of Dear Work Wives. I was thinking of you, and I thought you could use a Dear Work Wives episode.
These women also have days where they're mean for no reason.
That's right. We're humans
multifaceted. On that note, I should probably go apologize to my husband again. So,
all right. Well, we'll see you next
Good
Tuesday,
luck with
everyone.
Kit. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Thanks.